Hi, welcome back for our next art lesson. I really enjoyed your first projects and I hope you did too. And I'm excited about our next one. So let's just dive right in. What we're gonna do is a project that's called Zentangling. And I've kind of made our own little project, just kind of made one up that involves the art of Zentangling. And I'm going to tell you more about what that is right now. But let me show you what our project's going to be. Mine is in works right now. It's not done yet. I have finished the Zentangling portion, which is basically like doodle art. But I have not yet done the final steps, which is where I'm going to add color and the symbols and things that we're going to talk about. But I'll get there. So here's my project, holding it up from afar. Okay, so you have 4 hands, north, south, east, and west. And then you have, if you can see, a border, like a crazy border that goes all kind of around like a string was dropped on the background of the paper. And then in each section of that border, when it overloops itself, there's a new doodle art. It looks really complicated, but it's not. It can be time consuming if you choose to do difficult doodles. It's not as time consuming if you choose to do easier doodles. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about that. And but first, let me show you some pictures from along the way that got me here, and I'll explain a little bit about what Zentangling is. Okay, so let's talk about that first. So I just showed you some pictures of really cool Zentangle art. So you know kind of what it looks like. But it's doodle art in its most perfect form. So Zentangling basically is a combination of 2 words, Zen, which is like when you're in your Zen, you're all pieced out and you're real chill. It's kind of a meditative kind of state. It's from the Buddhist idea of Zen, which is a state you're trying to reach through meditation. And so yeah, that's the Zen. And then there's the tangle. And the tangle is the idea of like what happens when a random kind of shape occurs, like it's tangled on paper. And I'm going to throw these on and who knows how it's going to look. And I may rethrow it if it looks really cruddy. I like that one. And I'm just doing this for the sake of demonstration. I like that one. I don't like that one so much. So I'm going to do that. Okay, so look at it. This is totally what we call, I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit and do that, okay? Totally created by accident, right? So if you look at this shape, ignore what goes off the paper and onto the red table. Just imagine the paper. Look around this. You see how this right here forms one shape? This right here, 2. This right here, 3. This and all the way around here is 4. This little shape here is 5, 6, and then all of this is 7, okay? So that's the tangle. So you get this, your canvas, your sheet of paper has been now totally randomly, put into these weird like shapes and sections. And now in each one of these sections, you're gonna do a different kind of doodle art. And in the packet that you've probably already checked out, you'll see I gave you some step-by-step instructions on how to do a lot of cool patterns. And some of them are a little harder than others. Some of them are easy. I suggest with all of them that you most definitely start it in pencil before you do in Sharpie, because you will regret it. I myself have to do a lot of sketching and resketching, as you'll see in videos. But that's the fun thing about Zentangling, is it's totally just following little steps. You kind of get lost in kind of in this meditative kind of chill out mood, just doing doodle art. So that's what you're going to do. All right. But we're elevating it past just Zentangling to actually making this a piece that reflects who you are right now at this moment in your life. Okay. So let's talk about that now.
You're looking at my final piece. So you see all of the Zentangling in the background. You can see my border that goes off of the corners and also loop-de-loops off of the sides of the pages. And then I've got a different design in every single Zentangle little section. But let's look at the hands. So your hands are going to be colored in very, very darkly. But in each hand, there's going to be a symbol. And so this is how this piece reflects you. The first symbol on the top is going to be done on a banner, and you are going to put a motto that you would like to live by. Okay, my motto is the world opens for those who dare. So think of a motto, and then you're going to look in your packet and you're going to find examples of how to do the drawing of the banner. Okay, on your right hand palm, I guess the palm on the east side of the paper, represents your future career. Your future career. Now, I have a passport because I'm about to retire. I'm on that end of it. I'm already in my career. So I'm thinking more along the lines of my future. On the very bottom, you're going to do a symbol that represents who you are right now. Okay? I'm a teacher. I'm an artist. I love to read. This is who I am now. And then on the hand, on the left-hand side, you are going to come up with a symbol that represents something that you're good at, something that you're gifted at, something that is special about you, okay? Something you're proud of, all right? Everybody always calls me Mother Earth, and I'm extraordinarily environmental, and that's why I have that. I'm very proud that I take care of my planet, and I make that a priority in my life. So that's basically what is going to go inside each one of your hands, but we'll get to that later. Next step.
Okay, so you're at the table. You've got a pencil. I don't want to see you anywhere near a Sharpie yet, okay? No Sharpie, put it away, hide it. Don't even be tempted to do anything in Sharpie. You'll really regret it. So step one, you have a blank piece of paper, unlike mine, right? Your hands are going to be the first thing that you draw, but they can't be all off center and looking all funky. They got to be nice and center. So please measure across your paper this way, and in the middle, put a dot. Measure across your paper this way. In the middle, put a dot right on top. Now you've got your true center of your paper, okay? Now, get your pencil, okay, a nice well-sharpened pencil, and you're going to trace your hand. So if you're left-handed like I am, you're going to trace your right hand. If you're right-handed, you're going to trace your left hand. And I'm sorry for my ugly scar on my arm. I had major surgery this year, just a couple months ago, and it's gross, I'm sorry, but nothing I can do about it. All right, so you got your true center, which mine's covered up right now because I'm already ahead of the game. And that mine would be right here. Notice how my true center is perfectly true center with my hands, pretty much. That's a little bit off, but pretty close, okay? So when I want you to put your pencil lightly on your true center, and when you put your hand down, I want that pencil to be pretty much right in the middle of the palm right there, okay? So that you know your hand's true center, okay? And then I want you to kind of slide it forward just like a ½ inch because we gotta have space between these guys, okay? All right, so that's where my hand then ended up. And then you're gonna trace bloom, 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 bloom around your hand. Now when you get back here, don't get all lazy. Lean your hand forward. If I can do it with my messed up hand, you can too. and get the butt end of your hand. And I say butt because it looks like a little butt, okay? So make sure you get that little butt there because that gives you a really cool design for later on, all right? So, most importantly too, it's real easy when you start worrying about where your hand is for your fingers to get all, I want this middle finger like pointing off the middle of this page, okay? Just about as good as you can get it, okay? Boom, see? All right, so now my hand's there. Now I gotta do the other hand. So I'm going to find my true center with my pencil. I see my dot, and I now have one hand already traced there. Now look how close mine are. Look at how close. I don't want them any further apart than that, okay? We want them pretty close together, all right? Because this is gonna make a tunnel-like border, and you don't want your tunnel border to be all big. You want it to look like a border, okay? You don't want it to look like a new section. So when you put your hand down, make sure your butt's in the middle, pointing to the middle. Make sure your finger is pointing straight off the page. This side's easy because it's short. And then make sure you're really close, but definitely not touching the other hand. And trace, okay? Get your butt. Make sure you have a nice clean butt there too. Repeat, okay? Rotate your paper as you go to make it comfortable for you, all right? Again, line it up. Put your hand there. Make sure your butts of your hand is right there in the middle of the point. Make sure you're close, not too close, but not any further away than like this thick one of mine. Make sure your finger is pointing off the side. This one's not as perfect as the others, but it's all good. And then you do the same thing for the last one, okay? So you repeat that. So now what you've got is just your four hands, but they're nice and centered on your paper, okay? And if you notice, if you look in the negative space, that would be the space that's outside of the subject matter, okay? It's the white spots, basically. You'll see you have the beginning of what looks like a little tunnel or border, just here. Now, this is where you get to do your tangling. You're not actually going to throw a piece of string down on here, but you're going to create your own tangles. So I started here, and what I want you to do is take your pencil and literally start down the line of your hand. And when your hand starts to curve in, you don't. You just keep your line going. And I want you to remember, you are just doing one side of a tunnel, okay? One side of like a bubble. So you don't want this to be in the middle here because you're going to come up this side of this hand and do this, okay? So this is why you are definitely not in a Sharpie kind of mood right now. So you're going to start with one line, but keep in mind, I'm going to have another line next to it that's going to make a tunnel. And then you just kind of play. And I just, and just my sound effects, aren't they beautiful? Okay, so now I come back and I do this one. I want to keep my tunnel like a tunnel, but I want to make it wider in some places and thinner in some places personally because that's just what I want to do. Okay, and so I follow it. All right, now I go and then I do the same thing here. I follow the line with my pencil. That's really important. As soon as the thumb or finger starts to kind of break away, I don't. Okay, remember I'm making a tunnel, so I need to keep it off to the side. And then we go around here and I make the other side of my border. And we keep on going, all right? And this one, it goes off the paper. And you want some to go off the paper. That's what makes them look cool. And this one comes back on. And then I went around here. And then I went blurp, okay? So then I went with the next line. Okay, went off the paper, made the other side. Oh wait, which part of the loop I am? Yes, made the other side of the loop and then went off. So each one, okay, I did that with each one. Now mine created a lot of sections. So let's look at mine. So starting at the top, I've got my bubble section, that was 1. Cards or rectangles, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 sections. That's it's pretty challenging. All right, I'm going to show you my daughter's. She did fewer sections. So I want you to challenge yourself as much as you can, because this isn't hard. It's just kind of time consuming. And honestly, what else do we have better to do right now? This is the perfect time to do doodle art. And that's the cool thing about the Zen nature of it, is you'll sit down and you'll notice how relaxed you get. So, all right. So what are the requirements to make this look good? Like I said, you could, if you want, to make this as simple as possible, off of basically each of these, like the middle. You could do it off the finger if you wanted, but I would just make sure it was like the perfect, you could do just one set, one line here, and then do the same line that comes off of here, and then here and here, and just have 4 sections that you do tangles. That would be the simplest. So, for example, where did I put my strings? I put them over here. So if you wanted to do the simplest version of it, imagine the hands being there, but you basically just have the 4 sections, okay? So your hands are like this. So you'd only have 4 patterns, really. No, actually, yeah, you'd only have the 4 patterns. Or if you want to make it medium, just don't have, what did I have? 21 tangles. Don't have quite as many. Or you can have as many, just choose easy patterns, which is what I would do. Because some patterns, as you can tell on here, are super fast to do. Like these big snowflake looking guys, that's fast. This is fast. This is pretty fast too. But clearly the pool balls, the billiard balls, that took a lot of time, okay? That was probably the hardest one. And it wasn't hard, it just took time. These all, that took a little bit of time, but really not really. You get going really fast while you're going at it. So, all right, so end game then is after you have now, number 1, measured to the middle of your paper. Number 2, got your hands on there, right? Number 3, do your border, okay? However you want to do it. Number 4, okay, is ignore the hands, don't do anything in the hands, and start picking your patterns and just start Zentangling, okay? Do it in pencil first. And then you might find that as you go along, you can skip doing the pencil and go straight to Sharpie. But in your kit this week, you were given an ultra fine Sharpie, okay? The ultra fine Sharpie makes these little thin lines, okay? That's what I want you to use, not the Sharpie from last week, okay? The Sharpie from last week, you could use to fill in some of these shapes like this, but you have to be careful. And this is a huge, huge, huge disclaimer right now. When you want it to look clean like this, you've got to use the ultra fine. If you bring that big, thick Sharpie from last weekend, even though it doesn't look thick, it's gonna bleed into that white. It's not gonna look clean. The only time you're gonna use that thick one is when you're doing big sections like this, okay? Or, as you'll see in some of my videos, I use a thick one and I just kind of make a dot in the middle where I'm totally safe and I know it's not going to touch anything, but it's, a pretty big dot that takes up a big amount of ink on my little bitty pen. And then I come back with my little bitty pen and I fill in all of the details that get close to the edges that I could easily screw up, okay? All right, and so you're going to start Zentangling. So start with your pencil and go for it step by step. Just follow the steps, and then you're going to Sharpie. Now, what do you want to put next to each other? Color combinations. You don't want to put light next to light and dark next to dark too much. You kind of want to vary it a little bit. So you always want to be thinking that a nice black background looks really good. So on some of my patterns, they didn't even have black backgrounds. I added a black background because I like that. It makes it pop, okay? So be mindful, like this didn't have a black background. I added that because I wanted it to separate and look different than this one. So I kind of have a light one next to dark ones, okay? Light one next to a dark one. Light one next to darker looking one, okay? Light versus dark. Light versus dark, okay? Light versus darker, light versus these all being darker, okay? So that when you do your patterns and like, oh, I want to do these 4 patterns, lay them out in a way where it goes kind of light, dark, and make sure you have a nice black background on plenty of pieces, okay? So I'll show you some of my videos of working along the way, and then we'll go through the rest of the steps.
Let's talk borders. They are required to go off of the corners. So if you are doing just the simple cross with the 4 sections, yours is going to go off the middle, of course. But everybody else that's going to do any other kind, it needs to go off the corners like mine. So look at your packet, find the section called borders, pick a design. Some are harder than others, so pick one that you're willing to do, and let's get started on your borders right now. Pencil first, before Sharpie, just like mine. sketching for my symbols, for my hands, okay? I don't know if you can see all of these, but it's nothing all that impressive, okay? I was trying to think of what I want to do, and so I Googled, my nickname always has been Mother Earth around my family because I'm always really been environmentally conscious. I raise butterflies, I have a garden, I'm just Mother Earth. Everybody always jokes about it. Anyways, so for something that's like a special skill or talent, that's what I wanted to use, because I am very environmental and do practice that. So I Googled Mother Earth symbols on my phone and I found this one. So it's just a heart with a very sketchy looking little, countries on there, and that'll be my symbol. And I'm gonna put it right here and I'm gonna make it completely fill this as much as I can. Then for my future career, I'm old. I'm starting to think of retirement, and my kids are in college, and I'm like, bye. And what do I want to do? There you go, passport. Get me out of quarantine and take me somewhere. I don't even care where, just put me somewhere. So that's my goal for my future. It's not my career, but it's my future. My career's coming to a close at some point. So I just Googled passport symbol drawing. If you add the word drawing and then you go to images, you'll find all kinds of super simple drawings that you can do. So I found that. So for now, I put who I represent, I am now. I'm thinking about like as a teacher. So, but I'm also an artist, and I'm teaching you guys art, but I teach college humanities classes, which art is a part of it, but not all of it. So I came up with the easy, painter's palette symbol, which again, I Googled artist symbol, image, and there it was. And then I'm also gonna put in there somewhere a book, like the two of those together somehow here, okay? Like maybe overlapping each other like that or something, okay? And then for my motto, now you already saw or are about to see probably some examples of some ribbons to do, okay? These are not the easiest to draw. Like this side of mine's kind of ugly, but this was better. Definitely practice this before you do it more than once. I did a second one. I picked a different kind that was on that's the slide that you just saw. I like this one better. I thought it's a lot easier to make once you figure it out, kind of. Okay, so I did this one. So this is what's going to be for my motto. And I have to put it on a banner because otherwise when we color in the hand, the words are going to go away. This banner has to stay white or a different color. Preferably white, probably. So I even wrote my motto out to practice it, to see how it looks, because the quickest way to screw up and make a really beautiful drawing look really crappy is to put handwriting on it that looks sloppy. So I wrote it out just to kind of see, and I made it the size, my practice one, that my hand's gonna kind of fit. Okay, so I had an idea. And so, I already kind of feel like what words I'm going to put on each line, but I noticed I need to center this. So like when I say who dare, I need to center that so it looks better. Okay, so now I'm ready to draw. So let's do this. Let me get my eraser and my drawing pencil. Okay, so let's start with future career.
got your borders, you've done all your Zentangling, you've gone through and you've done all the Sharpie work that you need to do on all the Zentangling. You've figured out your symbols, you've sketched and practiced them. Now they're on here. What do we do next? Okay? That's up to you. You're gonna color your hands. And when I say color them, you're gonna color them darkly, okay? I want them to pop, okay? It's gonna make everything else really 3D around it. I personally am gonna choose one color. You could choose to do like a color family, let's say, and do just like blue and light blue and like blue-green and a dark blue or something. But to me, when you're making a piece of art and you're looking at the composition as a whole, there is so much going on in this piece. It's like crazy, right? Why add more to it? I think I need to weigh it down. I think I need to give it an anchor. And so I think that anchor for me is going to be color. So I'm going to do all of my hands in one color. I haven't decided if I want to do it in red or blue. I'll figure that out when I look at my pencils and decide which one I want to do. But this isn't shading. This isn't light. This is dark color. Now, you don't do that by scratching on your paper real hard and putting a hole in it paper. My cat stood on mine and put a hole in my paper. You do it by layering it, okay? And going kind of in different directions. And I'll show that when I'm doing a little bit of my coloring and everything, okay? So your background hands are going to be one color. And then you're going to color your symbols too. So remember, if you're doing your background hand is blue, you don't want this to be blue too. So if I'm looking and seeing that in my symbols, I already know my passport for America is blue. I can really do these in any color I want to do. My heart for my globe, the majority of that is going to be blue for the water part and a little bit of green. Okay, so I already have blue and blue. And then I can make this whatever I want it to be. So maybe blue isn't a good background color for me. Maybe I need to do another color, okay? So anything else. If I wanted it to pop, I could do yellow because blue's opposite color. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, but that's a different thing. So now we're ready to color and we're ready to outline. So you're going to color it, and then after you're done coloring it, you're going to go over with your fine, ultra fine Sharpie, okay? Your really, really good one, okay? And then we will be done. Hey, so let's look at this. All right, let's do this. Outline first with your Sharpie. So I have my ultra fine Sharpie. Colored pencils, meaning if you don't have to sharpen it every couple of minutes, you are not coloring with enough intense color. This is white paper. This is blue. We don't want to see white paper. We want to see blue. So it takes layers, okay, of getting it as intense as you get, kind of going in different directions, back and forth, sometimes north to south, sometimes east to west, sometimes in circles, but constantly kind of layering the color to get this intense color that's just going to pop right off the page compared to the background. Now, you're going to get smears of color all around on your bright white. That's why I gave you these beautiful artistic erasers that are artist quality, like what the pros use. So be mindful of that. Like, see that red dot right there? It's not supposed to be red, it's supposed to be white. So But notice how intense my red is of my hand. And the second thing I want you to notice is I chose, and we learned this last week, what's the opposite color of red on the color wheel that has absolutely no red in it whatsoever? It's green. So if I want two things to pop, I put green against red. So with this, my scroll, I used a bit of shading to give it a three-dimensional kind of look. So that means in the areas where shade would occur, like where it would get darker because it would be shaded because it was curled up or it was bent around the edges, I made the color, it's all the same pencil, but I just layered on a little bit of extra color there. And then I just kind of took the pencil and did this with my green pencil and made sure I just barely got it green in the middle, okay? Just mostly white, but then added, a lot of darkness kind of in the corners, and that gives it a 3D pop, okay? So right now I'm still coloring the ocean over here, and I've had to sharpen my pencil 3 times so far just on the blue. So that lets you know how many layers I'm pushing. I have a different kind of pencil than you guys do. Mine are a little bit softer, so yours may not crumble as quickly as mine. So you may not be sharpening as much, but you should definitely. I don't want to see white paper. We have white paper all around us, and all of that Zentangling. We want contrast, okay? That's what artists do, is they look for high contrast, and those are opposites of each other. So we have black and white, which is totally devoid of color, and then we got these hands in the middle, and we want them to be intense, as like bold of color as you can get. So if it's blue, I want it as blue as it can get. I don't want to see that white paper coming through. Your hand should be hurting. Okay. This is a labor of love. Something you'll keep. Make it beautiful. Make it something you're proud of. You're going to be showing this to everybody on Friday on the Zoom and competing for prizes. So don't be doing it halfway. Do it right. Make it beautiful. Be proud of it. This is you. This is your art. You own it. Nobody else has made this in the whole world and all the history of time but you. All right. I like you. Now, if I wanted to do some shading to make this look 3D, I could go and I can, here, I'll do it just for the sake of giggles. Where's my blue pencil? My green pencil I had out. I hope this is it. Is that it? No, it's not it. Where's my green pencil? Here's blue. It's missing. Well, let's just do it for sake of blue-green. See, I have a blue-green colored pencil. And I'm kind of shading around the edges. See how it makes it a little bit darker? Because the globe's circular, right? So around the edges, it's going to get darker because it's receding. Okay? So I'm adding a little bit of a darker or different color. Kind of fading it just a little down in the middle. All right, so that means if I do that with that, I gotta do the same thing with my blue. I'm gonna take a deeper color of blue, or nah, I'll stay with the same blue. I'm just gonna darken it just extra around the edges. Oh, I can't make this any darker. The pencil's like literally rubbing off now. Okay, looks good. Good enough. I'm missing a pencil in my set now. I gotta find that. All right, look at how I'm all messed up in my red. But that's gonna be red hand, so no big deal. I'm not really gonna stress it. but it is totally corrupted all the purity of my color all around here, which isn't a big deal on my hands because they're about to be red, but I do want these parts white. All right. My cat stepped on it. I have to tape it from behind. If you tear yours, put a piece of tape on behind and it'll stick. All right, let's get ready. Let's do red. Here we go. So here's the finished project. So I colored my hands really, really intensely. You might see like there's some reflection, but that's actually the lights coming off of it. That gives you a better idea, okay? I outlined first all of my symbols, and then I started coloring. And then I sometimes needed to go back and outline again because, like in the passport especially, the lettering got lost in my background. Okay, so there we go. I am really proud of my piece. I just think it turned out super cool. I hope you feel the same way about yours. If you wanted to take it to the next level beyond this, you would use your pencil and start shading around edges, kind of like I did up here for my motto, to make these objects look three-dimensional. You would make all of these, spheres, start blending around the edges a little bit, blending a little bit of darkness around, all of the mushrooms and so on. And that would make things look even more three-dimensional and pop. So if you want to take it up to the next level, that's where you go with that. If not, I think you've got a pretty amazing piece right here in front of you. Okay, so I'm going to show you some images of my daughter's work as well. And I hope you find as much satisfaction out of making this piece as I have. And I look forward to making more art with you. See you later.